We've still got Sunny on the line, and we've got opening hands. All right. All right, looks like we're good. All right, can you see the game here?
I can see it on the stream. I need to add Mattyocre.
All right.
Just a sec.
Yep, you're good. All right, let me tell Matty that he can begin. All right, while you're adding that up, I'll give a little bit here. So we're looking at Mattyocre's side here. So he looks like he's a Jund deck. So he's got Fire, Shadow, and Justice here. He's got a pretty good starting hand. He's got a Grenadin Drone here. He's got an Obsidian Golem, a Lazy Firemane, and Blood Nurse. I wonder, I'd have to look a little bit deeper into the deck list. I wonder if he's got any way to take advantage of the Blood Nurse, put some extra toughness on that, spin out a few more bats. Or if he's just using it as a 1-drop that can give you a 1/1 lifelink flyer. But
yeah, I imagine that. Well, what do you think the third faction is for? Displays aren't in the format.
That's true. We could take a look at the deck list, but it could be also for something like a Finest Hour. I don't think you would splash for that. Let me see if I can pull up the deck list real quick while they're getting started here.
Is there a reason why there's a Yetis at LSB on Eric's side of the screen?
Yeah, let me hide those. Sorry, we gotta update those labels here.
All right. Well, Eric's leading off with a Amber Waystone and into Initiative Sands. This is one of the better starts that you can have in the format. So if I were to guess, I would say that Eric's going for big time units, but I haven't seen the deck list yet.
Oh, all right, Sonny. I can see what the Justice is for. Is there any common aura equipment that you would put on a creature in Dark Frontier Draft? Something that might pump the toughness of Blood Nurse? We're talking about a Bear Arms, splashing Bear Arms for the Blood Nurse combo. So every time you play a creature, it gets +1/+1, which allows Blood Nurse to make another bat, which of course gives it +1/+1 and allows you to spit out endless bats.
So Eric, of course, must know about this, having fired off the Var's favor against the Blood Nurse immediately in order to take it down, following up with the Corrupted Behemoth, and that's one of the big threats that we were talking about. It's very difficult to remove.
Yeah, definitely. Corrupted Behemoth is a solid beater here. Also a stop sign. But Mattyocre does have that mob rule in hand, which currently is able to take down that Corrupted Behemoth.
Yeah, we'll see if Eric decides to twist or something. Nope, just going to play an Extract. And Mattyocre's going to have to top deck a power if he wants to be able to take down this Corrupted Behemoth. Mattyocre's draw for the turn was a Blood Nurse, so Bear Arms is pretty live. Oh, the Blood Nurse, being a 1-cost unit, allows Mattyocre to play that mob rule against the Corrupted Behemoth, so that's off the table. But
absolutely, that's huge.
Given that Eric's cards in play are Initiative Sands and Amber Acolyte, you have to think that Eric might have more large units to follow this up with.
Absolutely. All right, we got a Vara's Favor here to take out that Blood Nurse before he can make any bats. Ooh, followed up by another removal spell and an Eviscerate to take down the 3/2, and now Matty is left with just 2 1/1s.
Fortunately, those 1/1s do trade with what's on Eric's board, but I don't think it's going to be enough on its own. And I mean, the Stonescar Outfitter is nice, but if Eric just plays a 2/3, all of a sudden, Eric has complete control over the board and can wait until another Corrupted Behemoth or something is.
Ooh, Blurry Chase is a nice one too. So I like how Matty has a little bit of a twist sub-theme here with the Blood Nurse and the Blurry Chaser. Not too much of a way to take advantage of it, but I like that. I like that combo there with the Bear Arms. It's a nice little touch.
This is a really nice deck from Eric, I gotta say. using the small or some of the more powerful time units. I think that Initiative Sands, I imagine that there are Trailmakers in the deck also, Amber Acolyte, and then combining those with to power up a Mob Rule, and then using other not so conditional removal spells like Eviscerate. I really like it. It's probably going to defeat most mid range decks if I were to take a guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's one that we actually didn't. We kind of overlooked a little bit when we were doing the introduction. We talked about Torch a lot, but Initiate of the Sands. I mean, that's another common that is going to get overlooked. It's not as flashy as Torch, but it's a powerhouse here. Getting the ramp out for some of your bigger creatures, allowing you to play a little bit more expensive deck, as well as being able to trade off with some of the smaller units. That's going to be a clutch card in some of these time decks. All right, Matty draws an Oni Ronin there. Pretty classic fire beater there. And is going to scry with Blurry Chaser. Going to look at the top, scout with Blurry Chaser. Going to look at the top. Put that one on the bottom. Put that one also on the bottom. Take a big attack here.
As good as this game was looking for Eric just a short while ago, it does seem like this is actually swinging into Mattyocre's favor. Eric hasn't drawn anything to stonewall the team. The Horn of Plenty, while nice, is buffs the units, but it doesn't buff them enough in order to block profitably, and Eric concedes.
Yeah, and there you go. I mean, that was it there. Matty, I think one of the keys to that game was Matty drawing pretty solid units right off the top there, and it wasn't total variance either. I mean, he had the scout to be able to do that a couple times, but that was clutch. I totally agree.
I have to say the MVP in that game is got to be the Stone Scar Outfitter. That's a card that we haven't talked about yet, but that kind of functions as the same thing as Horde of Plenty. It makes your small units bigger. Matty definitely had the advantage as far as small units goes, playing multiple 1-drops and Grandin Drone and just getting the 2/2/1s, and then being a body on its own to attack. Oh, looks like we have a hand with Bear Arms here.
Yep. Looks like we got a hand with Bear Arms. That's going to be huge. Not quite the wombo combo that it is on Blood Nurse, but you got a Blurry Chaser here, which will work pretty well. I'd say a pretty nice hand.
I think that Matty's going to have to hold this Bear Arms as long as he possibly can, because we've seen a bunch of removal out of Eric's deck. The last thing that you want to do is get a unit and Bear Arms 2 for 1.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the problem against a deck with a lot of removal is that equipment's just going to get 2 for 1 pretty easily. So Eric takes out the Oni Ronin with a Vara's Favor. Pretty good trade for Eric there. I think that's an advantage for him. Matty runs out the Blood Nurse.
Yeah, look at this. Matty has drawn the combo Blood Nurse plus Bear Arms. We'll see.
Oh, but another Vara's Favor. 2 Vara's Favor to take out your 2/1 toughness is 1 strength unit. It's pretty tough. But follows up with a Blurry Chaser. Scout's Mob Rule. Didn't see where he put that on the top or the bottom.
Looked like the bottom. I don't think that with only 1 unit and only access to that 1 unit, it makes a lot of sense to keep that on top.
Extract takes down the Blurry Chaser.
Yeah, I think Matty's best draw is something like Grandin Drone, if there wasn't that Extract, but...
Follows it up with more units, though. Got some rats out here. Now, these rats cannot block.
I don't think Matty is looking to block in most matchups.
All right, Eric done with using all that removal. He drops an Initiate and drops an Amber Acolyte. Do you go for the Bear Arms here?
Well, I think I would still hold on to it. The longer that you hold on to it, the more likely it is to stick. But on the other hand, this is a good opportunity to start attacking. I don't know. I think it can go either way.
Yeah. With nothing else in hand.
Eric probably doesn't want to use a removal spell on Rat, even if it has Bear Arms.
Yeah. Well, there's the Eviscerate, like you said. Probably not what he wanted to do, to use a 5-mana removal spell on one rat that can't block, but I think he just really wants to get rid of that Bear Arms, which he knows can get out of hand, especially with the rats. Adding 3 rats actually pumps that Bear Arms 3 times because it's 3 separate creatures entering.
I have to imagine that if that was the play from Eric, there's no big unit to trump the board.
Yeah, no Corrupted Behemoth coming the next turn.
Right, because I think if you have that, you just jam it, and then you look to block until the unit gets too big, so that you have to eviscerate it.
What's Matty do here? I mean, now you don't have anything in hand. You got a bunch of 1/1s, and Eric's got blockers.
I like exactly what Matty's doing. Force through damage. Granted, I don't think that Eric's in danger of dying to this board, but losing just a 1/1 to get in how much damage is definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. He's pushing again with the rats. They're not blocking. They're not doing anything else. Might as well just, he's kind of treating them like burn spells a little bit here. Just throw them at the face, lose a couple, but, get some damage in.
I'm not sure I like this attack quite as much, because if you draw a Stone Square Outfitter, then all of a sudden those rats threaten to trade with the initiate, and they do twice as much damage if they.
Yeah, the second Horn of Plenty comes down, followed up by the second Blood Nurse from Matty. Not sure that's going to do much on this board, though.
Yeah, I really wonder what's in Eric's hand. I mean, 8 power, no play. I guess it must be removal spells. If it was a big unit, that would probably see play immediately. I guess it could be more silence effects, which probably doesn't do much against the most of Matty's deck.
Yeah, now you can see Eric starting to turn the corner a little bit. He starts attacking with one of the 3/6s. Ooh, but equipment on top of the Blood Nurse, making it a 3/3, meaning that he can twist 2 times and keep the Blood Nurse.
Yeah, and being able to mob rule one of the flyers, that's a big deal. I think that if Eric can, if Matty can answer the other flyer, this game's going to be over in a hurry.
Yeah, it's a good point. Those 2 flyers are kind of holding the fort here, and we know that one of them is a threat to mob rule right here, about to go down. Unfortunately for Matty, the other 3/6 and the 5/4 and 3/3 on the ground are still playing some pretty good defense, though. He can't really get through.
No, I don't see a good attack yet, but all it takes is one more removal spell from Matty, taking down the second Archive Curator, and all of a sudden, I think Matty's in the.
Chump blocking with the Silence Blood Nurse. That's just a 1/1. It's not doing anything. He did not fire off the mob rule end of turn. Would you have gone for that, or wait till you get that second removal spell?
I don't think that Matty's in danger of either Eric drawing a pump spell to make the mob rule fizzle, or to run out of units fast enough. So I don't think that there's I don't think that mob rule is.
Well, this is beautiful.
Yes, that is quite nice.
Distilled Venom. So what does Distilled Venom do, Sonny?
When you twist one of your units, the cursed unit gets -1 health instead of the unit you twisted. That's another good card with Blood Nurse. And looking at the rest of Eric's deck, I have to imagine that Eric's also playing Blood Nurses of his own.
Yeah, so what Eric did there was he played that on the Blood Nurse and then twisted it, followed up with the Corrupted Behemoth, twisted it, which not only gave the Corrupted Behemoth the effect, but also killed the Blood Nurse in the process. And that's plenty enough to close out that game.
Yeah, I think as soon as the Corrupted Behemoth came down, that gave Eric everything he needed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's 1/1. So these are best of 3 matches. So we're going into round 3 here. So what are you doing here? Anything different? Anything changed from the first two matches now that you've seen it?
Well, I think that obviously Matty's going to be the aggressor here. I would try to keep a hand with a lot of early plays. I think that Eric, while having plenty of early plays, also has a lot more expensive cards like Eviscerate that won't be able to be deployed in a timely manner, whereas Matty can just go 1 drop, 2 drop, 2 drops, and then a Stone Square Outfitter, and that might be too much to catch up with.
All right, so we got a starting hand here, but this is what you mentioned early on in the broadcast, was the tap land. The tap land's coming in, the tap power, the depleted power. So 3 depleted power in hand. Got some 1-drops, some bear arms, the rats, but he's got 3 depleted power in hand.
I think Matty's fine. Well, yeah. I mean, okay, yeah. 2 powers coming in depleted. That's not. Oh man, do you just go for the bear arms here? Bear
Oof.
arms and then Grandin drone? I think I would.
You might. The problem is all the removal that he knows Erik has. He does not go for the bear arms and he attacks. And you're right, you called it that Erik did have the Blood Nurse in his own deck as well.
Oh, he's going to go for the lazy fire lane and then the bear arms on the lazy fire
Oh,
lane.
so Lazy Fireman has Renown. So when you play a spell or equipment on it, you get 2 1/1s with charge. So those can attack this turn. So playing the Bear Arms Arm that not only pumps the Firemane, but also gives you the 2 1/1s, which can attack through both these units.
This is going to be a great attack from Mattyocre on this next turn. I don't think you can take all the damage from the Lazy Firemane. I think you have to chump it here, assuming Erik has an answer.
I mean, it's going to be up to 8 because Grenadin Drone double pumps it with the Bear Arms.
Yeah, and that's not even including some other units that are definitely getting.
Yep.
So no chump.
No chump.
Erik's pretty low, but I have to imagine we're going to see some answer for the Firemane here.
I think you have to. This game,
well,
you're going to be
can
chumping.
Kill it? That costs 4.
Nothing that costs 4. You might have to chump and eviscerate next turn, but then you're in really bad shape.
Yeah, I think that's what we're looking at.
So is Matty's deck just a Bear Arms deck? A lot of the synergy I think we missed early on, but the Firemane and then the Rats triple pumping it. Ooh, there's the Distilled Venom, but that's not going to be enough on this turn.
Well, I think it's pretty good because Erik gets the chump blocker, and then if Erik has an Eviscerate, he can play it the following.
It is true. That stays alive. Just buy a turn there. All right, Matty draws a Oni Ronin that's been Warcried here up to a 4/3, but he's going to play the 3 Rats to start with, pump up that Firemane, then play the Warcried unit, pump up the Firemane again. It's 12 power now.
You know, I think that if Erik's play is to eviscerate the Firemane, I think that Mattyocre still wins. That's just way too much.
Way too much damage. There's so much power on the board. What can Erik even do at this point?
I'm trying to come up with a line in my head. It involves twisting for sure, but paying 2 just to essentially stun something is not really a winning line. That extracts that's a good start.
It's a good start, but you're still chumping the Firemane. This is a little what we talked about. Not that Xenon would have a lot of rats anyway, even if this wasn't Pauper, but this is a good example of the Pauper format not having have rats. You're kind of free to go wild and go wide with many units here.
Interesting, Matty firing off the bear arms just to get a little bit of extra damage. Just see really just +1/+1 on that Grandin.
Yeah, I mean at this point you just push in that extra damage. Every point you can get here to just close the game.
Let's see what Erik can come up with. Paying 2 in order to frost the Firemane and just going to do it several more times. So that 6/1, whoa.
Oh,
that 6/1 can actually trade with the 12/6.
It can, but that's an aggressive attack.
All right, so let's see. If this machete goes onto a Dirty Rat, yeah, Erik does survive. I think Erik has to chump block definitely 2, maybe 3. I guess Erik can trade with 1. Let's see. Gaining 2. I think that's exactly lethal. I think that.
Yeah.
Oh, nope, Erik's better at
Is that a 1? And I guess keeping the not wanting to trade the Blood Nurse makes sense because you can keep twisting it because he still has the curse. So you wouldn't really want to make that trade unless you had to anyway. You just curse out some more bats here. Twist out some more bats. I don't know if he can even survive though. I guess you do the same play as last time and eventually you're going to kill off this Firemane. Down to 3. This is where both of these players now doing the Blood Nurse combos. Attacks in with the Blood Nurse again. I mean now now Matty's down to 10.
3 trumps. Yeah, Matty can't make this attack. This means Erik's going to win.
He can't because Erik will survive and will die on the backswing.
So what attack do you make here if you're Mattyocre?
I mean, you can bluff having a unit to follow up, but that's not a very convincing bluff.
Well, in my mind, Eric's got to have some sort of removal if you're just holding one unit
Yeah,
back.
that's true.
But if you attack with the Dirty Rats, Eric has to block.
Yeah.
What happens if
And
you
that
attack with all three?
and
No, it's
that's
probably not
that's
good
just
enough.
game.
Yeah, that is
That's just
game.
lethal from Eric's side. What a turnaround. And that
Yeah,
was all
I was
because of
not
the blood
expecting.
nurse. Wow.
Well, Eric found a nice little combo there, and Blood Nurse plus distilled combo, distilled